Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Mortgage Coach Tuesday morning coaching call. Every Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock Pacific time, we're here to deliver the mortgage industry's absolute best weekly sales meeting. My name is Dave Savage. I'm the CEO of Mortgage Coach. I want to urge anybody that's new to this call, new to the Mortgage Coach community, to connect with me on LinkedIn. You're a friend of mine, your family, if you're on this call, and absolutely make sure that you have connected with us in Facebook. We do our best to, make it clear what's happening in the marketplace. And on calls like today, there'll be some deliverables, there'll be some links. Who knows what Anthony's going to share with us that we're going to want to share with you, and we'll put a shortcut to that on our Facebook page. I want to do a shout out to Todd Duncan. He's creating a video for the Mortgage Coach Rate Watch TV now. So not only do we have Bill Hart, an amazing coach and leader in our industry, on there, not only do we have Dan Rawich providing a video every single morning, making sure you guys know what's going on in the market, but now we have Todd Duncan on a, we're not committing to a specific time frame, we're committed to quality. That when Todd has something quality that he wants to share directly to the Mortgage Coach community, it'll be in Rate Watch. So heads up, everybody, make sure you've watched that video. I think over 1,000 of you have already watched it. Let's try to push it to 2,000. All right. So we've got a special guest today, Anthony Iannarino. Did I say that right, Anthony? Anthony has it on mute.
Muted, but yes, you were spot on. Yeah, just to make sure I was clean.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. So I'm going to do a more formal introduction of Anthony in about 10 minutes, but I just want to tell you this guy is special. I've been reading his blog for, over a year. And there's a lot of content. There's a lot of blogs. Let's face it, what's on the internet. There's a lot of stuff. And I'd say there's a lot of noise. There's not that many blogs. There's not that much content that's really quality. It's unique, and it's useful, and it's applicable. And this guy's got some really unique perspectives that I think is important to you guys. So stay tuned. I'll bring him in 10 minutes, maybe sooner, depending on how this flows. So some opening thoughts that I wanted to share with everybody. This is the opening thought I've been sharing for weeks after weeks after weeks. And so sorry for repeating myself, but sometimes things are just so important that we need to, that it is absolutely essential to your success that you're successful as realtors. And again, the two ways you need to be successful is if you already have realtor relationships and you're a secondary lender to them, you're not the primary, so you're the guy or gal getting 3 transactions a year versus 20, you need to accelerate your trust, your respect, and you need to become more valuable to them. And doing what got you to where you're at today, it's got you where you are today. So if you want to change the game and you want to do it quick, you got to do something different. And so you've got to change that. And if you don't have a lot of realtor relationships, you need to get meetings, and you need to win trust and respect very rapidly in this market. And let's face it, every loan officer in America with the increase in interest rates is calling every realtor in America. So competition is fierce. You guys need help. And that's why last week's call, this week's call, I'm focusing so much on sales skills, sales experience, because you guys, I believe, need some advice, some insight, and you need to be delivering different actions in the marketplace. So it is time to improve our sales conversations. You notice I didn't use the word presentation. I used the word conversation because that's what people want. They want to have a conversation, and they want to have an experience, a sales experience that's unique, it's valuable, and they learn something new. When you are talking to that realtor, they learn something new. When you're talking to that home buyer, they learn something new. So Anthony, the next couple slides is a reminder for our community, and it's bringing you into our community and understanding what we do so that when you share your ideas and insight, you'll understand where we're coming from a little bit more.
Got it.
Cool. So this is the mortgage sales process. And again, you get in the weeds, and every lender is like a unique fingerprint in terms of how they implement the sales process. But at the end of the day, there's first impressions, websites, marketing. Then there's selling. There's, closing the loan. It's getting a homeowner to trust and respect you. And typically that's a rate quote. And then there's facilitating the transaction, processing the loan, funding the loan, closing the loan. And then it starts all over again. Now in the lending industry, there's a servicing element and a retention element. But this is the process. And here at Mortgage Coach, where our core service is all built around just blowing people's mind, instead of quoting rates and taking applications, it's delivering this amazing sales experience. So by the way, everybody on this call, because I ask that survey all the time, I know not all of you are delivering your most amazing sales experience each and every time you get up to bat with a home buyer. And again, my goal in this call is to change that, to move the needle, is to get everybody implementing that amazing experience. Not this. This is, by the way, Anthony, this is the average way that a loan officer quotes rates. It says, hey, I want to do business with you, and here's my rates, here's my closing cost. It's very average. You know, it's not unprofessional. It's just common. It's normal. This is probably the absolute most common way that loan officers quote rates, is they ask questions, fill it out on a yellow pad, and then they either send a poorly formatted email with some content and maybe a link to that report before, or they just shout it out. And this is what Mortgage Coach powers. You know, ask questions, boom, 1 to 2 minutes of question asking, same questions everybody has to ask, and they get this amazing mortgage experience that they can view on their desktop or in mobile. And mobile is our, Anthony, for your knowledge, that's the newest tool to the Mortgage Coach suite, is we have these amazing native apps. In fact, just last week we launched a native Android app, so we've had an iOS app for a little over a month. So now this experience with a home buyer, with a realtor, wherever they're at, they can get this mobile video experience that's the sales process. So Anthony, I just wanted to, one, make sure you understood how we're executing and delivering value to everybody on this call, and then everybody on this call, hopefully it was just a reminder, you know, which salesperson are you? You know, are you still executing like this? Or each and every time you get up to bat with a home buyer, are you delivering that amazing sales experience? Anthony, any questions on that?
No, I just think nothing inspires confidence like scribbled notes on a yellow legal pad, right?
No doubt about it, no doubt. So as a reminder to everybody on the call, these are the experiences that you need to be really competent at in today's market, you know, whether it's a move-up buyer, a first-time home buyer, or whether it's just the typical home buyer analysis. Make sure that these are the core skills that you know how to drive in Mortgage Coach, so you can really knock it out of the park in today's market. I do have a quick survey question before I bring Anthony into the conversation, and Jacob, if you could push this. I have been seeing more and more people using the iPad mini, and I'm just curious, what mobile device are you using the most? So when you're out meeting with a realtor in their office, which mobile device do you have in your hand? When you're out driving a Mortgage Coach experience and you're telling a story around how you helped a homeowner make a really important decision on a move-up purchase that they were doing, what device did you use? What device did they use? I want to know what you guys are seeing in the marketplace. Jacob, what percentage of the audience has voted so far?
We have 52% voted.
So guys, let's shoot it up over 70% really quick, so I have something that's statistically valid and something that's useful to everybody, and also useful to our development team as we continue to invest in different platforms to make sure every platform you guys are using, we're delivering this amazing experience. So Jacob, why don't you go ahead and push the results, and again, I can't see them. If you could just say them out loud real quick.
Sure. iPhone is 50%, iPad 10%, iPad mini 1%, Android 37%, Windows Phone 2%.
All right. Interesting. So I don't know that there's any surprises. I think maybe I expected to see a little bit more on the mini, but it's good to know. Anthony, any questions or comments on that on your end?
I live on the iPhone. Best device ever made.
Yeah, no doubt. Me too. Me too. So guys, it's time to bring in our special guest today. This is a thought leader and a sales leader and a sales executive that I'm getting to know. I feel like I know him pretty well because I've read his content for some time. He's got a blog called The Sales Blog, and guys, it's awesome. I mean, it's just awesome content from someone that just has, I think, beliefs that everybody on this call will really resonate with. You know, you're all investing in Mortgage Coach because we believe in delivering obvious value to homeowners, to realtors, and we believe that our advice has value. So you invest in our relationship. Now, not everybody on this call, you invest in the relationship, but not everybody executes and implements every time you get in front of a client. And that's what I'm here to help you guys do better. All the branch managers on this call, hopefully this will help you be better accountability leaders, better sales leaders to your organization. And any of the CEOs and the executive group that's on here, this is hopefully some content that will help you improve your culture and how you become a better sales organization. So Anthony, you may or may not know this, but Darren Hardy's a good personal friend of mine for 15 plus years. And I think where you got on my radar was Success magazine. And Darren is not only a guest on this call once or twice a year, he also speaks at some of the events that we put on. So when I saw that you were on Success magazine, that definitely built some credibility. How often are you published in Success?
I'm a contributing editor now, so I'm going to be contributing at minimum 6 articles a year, so every other month, and it sort of rotates. Sales one month, marketing the next. And I don't know when I think I'm in the next episode, the next issue.
Good, good. Well, folks, I mean that's a lot of credibility. I mean, Success magazine. There's not a business leader on the planet that won't return their call. I mean, when it comes to who Darren is interviewing at Success magazine, it is the most successful people in the world. So when it comes to whose content is going to be shared, the standards are high. I mean, Darren and the committee over there, they don't just bring contributors and articles from anybody. They're really thoughtful about whose content they're going to bring into Success magazine. So Anthony, congratulations. I didn't know that you were officially on the regular team now. That's a big win for you, I can only imagine.
It is. It's great to be their sales guy. So that's the corner that I've staked out, and it's perfect for me. Great banner.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Jeffrey Gittimer is a little bummed, your competition there.
I think he's all right.
Yeah, no, I know Jeffrey too, and I've had him on a few calls, so we're not going to talk about Jeffrey. But anyways, I'm sure you're getting some articles he would love to have out there. Oh, go ahead. You're gonna say.
He's still a contributor too. I don't think he's on the contributing editor board, but he's in Success. He's on the website and he's printed too. He's got his footprint's massive.
Yeah, and he's got great sales content. And I'm a huge fan of his books, a huge fan of his philosophies. But today's all about you, my friend. So I know you do some speaking. If you wouldn't mind just telling a little bit, the group on the call, a little bit about your background, how you started, and just give us a little feel for what you're all about.
Well, I'll give you the short version of the story. I was a young man and I fronted a rock band. So I grew up poor in an apartment complex. I had literally no vision and no male adult role models. Well, I did, but let's say that they weren't positive. And the only thing that looked like a reasonably decent future to me would be to front a heavy metal hair band in 1985. So at 17, that's what I did. And by the time I was about 20 or 21, I'd worked in the family business and staffing for a couple years, and I had enough people say, you know what, you should go to LA and make a go of it. So I got in my car and I drove out to Los Angeles, and I got a job working for at the time, the 3rd largest staffing agency in the world, Olston. And they let me work a light industrial desk because it's really the only thing they'll let you do when you have a ponytail down to your waist. So I'm a guy in a suit with a ponytail down to his waist. And my manager leaves, and I get a new manager. And the last thing you ever want in business is a new manager, right? Because they're going to ask questions, things are going to change, and I was perfectly happy, comfortable doing what I was doing. And the manager came up to my desk one day and he said, what do salespeople do? And I said, well, come on. I mean, salespeople, they make calls, they bring in customers. And I didn't get the point of his question right away, but the question was really, what do our salespeople do? And I started to take the hint that he was unhappy with what he was seeing. And I wasn't going to rat out my friends that worked at the same office with me. But a few weeks later, he came back and he pushed a piece of paper across the desk and he said, whose accounts are these? And I said, well, those are my accounts. And he said, how did you, with all the negative connotation that you can imagine he could muster up to throw into that comment when he's looking at a guy with hair down to his waist, how did you win these accounts? And I said, I don't know. I just call people. I try my best to help them. Some of them let me come out and talk to them, and I win business. And he said, I want you to cut your hair off and go into full-time sales. And what I heard come out of his mouth was, I want you to cut your hair and become a psychopathic axe murderer. Because in my mind, that's what salespeople were. But I learned very quickly that sales changed and that the manipulative, persuasive, slimy, used car salesperson, tie people down kind of approach changed. And what had changed in sales that was allowing me to succeed was that it's about how do we create value for other people. And once I understood that it was my job to go help people get a result that they couldn't get without me, sales was a very natural calling for me, and I fell in love with it. So the shortest version of this is that the first account I won was worth $10 million. It was the largest account won on the west side of the United States, the western half, the year that I started in sales. And I was everybody's hero, and I found my calling. So I fell in love with sales. I've been doing it ever since.
That's beautiful. And I love how you define what sales is. I share that belief, and it is such a beautiful business if it's done right from people that are passionate with lots of integrity. So
that's right.
So you know, in researching for this call, you know, like I do with everybody, is, you know, what's your digital footprint? So I did a Google search. And by the way, I want to remind everybody who's on this call, what's your digital presence look like? When you put in your name and you do a Google search, are you towards the top? And is it taking people to things that you want it to take them to? So as mortgage professionals, while we're speaking to someone who is still selling, and that's another thing that's really unique about Anthony, is he's not just a full-time, and I don't want to say just, but there's so many folks out there that once upon a time they were a great salesperson. He's still a salesman and still a sales leader, and he's teaching and training and building a community, and he's doing an amazing job. So I just want to remind everybody on this call, you're a mortgage professional. You should be building a platform in your local community where you're the leader and the expert. You know, what's your digital presence look like? Anthony's looks great. Great job, my friend. Your website is fantastic. And again, towards the end of the call, we're going to remind everybody to become friends with Anthony, to connect with him, watch his 3-minute video on his page. You're going to know who he is after this call, but I'm going to urge everybody now, and at the end of this call, let's make sure we add this guy to our reading list. Let's start learning from him and paying attention to him. It will make us all better salespeople. So Anthony, as we kick off some Q&A, something I'm really passionate about, and when I founded Mortgage Coach about 16 years ago, but the real breakthrough for me happened about 4 years before I founded Mortgage Coach. And actually the name of the company that owns Mortgage Coach is called Wow Tools. And the big breakthrough for me, you know, you've got your story, which we just heard. My story was, you know, when I went from being I was always a good sales guy because I worked hard and I had those values of my job is to help people. But when it really changed for me was when I figured out that the name of the game is just surpassing expectations. It's just people come to me, I'm a mortgage professional, they have this expectation of what it looks like and feels like, and if I could just blow their mind with value in the first minute, in the first 5 minutes, by 30 minutes into the conversation, they're just like, oh my gosh, I trust this guy, he's got my best interest in mind, and wow, no one's ever told me this or shown me this before. If I could be that guy, and I could do it all the time, really systemically, I'd be really successful. So the thing we teach here at Mortgage Coach, also known as Wow Tools, is that some mortgage professionals play the win game, where it's I want to win your business, I want to, you know, win the deal. We're in the wow business. We want to blow people's mind. So my question to you, Anthony, you know, how important is the whole wow factor when you think of your sales framework and what you're going to teach and show? Where does the whole wow factor fit in from your perspective?
I'll use a little bit of our time here to answer this question to get rid of a couple slides so we don't have to go through them, and then just tell you what I think. So we're in now a global society, so we're competing globally, and maybe we're not for mortgages because it's local, but certainly some of the financing companies that we work with and our clients are involved in global finance and banking systems. And we've felt what that feels like now because we're competing worldwide, and anything that happens anywhere affects our business everywhere. I have no idea why the rest of the world decided to follow us into a recession, but they did. We've got disintermediation. So salespeople used to hold a lot of power because we had a lot of information that clients didn't have. But that basic information, the general stuff, you can find that yourself now. So if all you can do is behave like a really good internet search, then you're not delivering a lot of value. So we've got this whole disintermediation going on. So you don't want to be a book publisher right now. You really don't want to be a newspaper, at least not a local newspaper. You've got Craigslist, all these things disintermediating whole industries. I don't know if you use it, but I use Uber, which is an app that lets me get a black car in whatever city I go
Love
to
it.
just by hitting a button. So that industry is disintermediated. So we've got this globalization, disintermediation, which has led to commoditization. So all of us now are treated like we're a commodity. And I think that what we suffer from is everybody's got this view that it's the end of the world, the economy is tanking, nobody's got any money, nobody's buying anything, and you can't be different, so you're supposed to be Walmart, and you're supposed to think about transactions. How cheap can you do this? How little value can you deliver? And what it's doing is it's destroying sales organizations because they're lowering their price and they're lowering the value that they create. And we'll talk about this for the rest of the call as far as I'm concerned, because it's all about value. And so when you talk about wow, what you're saying is I'm going to go the complete opposite direction. And I'm going to treat this like I have an opportunity to create either massive value for somebody, or I have the choice to treat them like a transaction. And I wrote a post a few weeks ago that I think there's really only two business models left. There's either caring or not caring. And if I treat you like a transaction, like I'm going to try to find the cheapest, fastest, most efficient and effective way to deal with you, I'm choosing a not caring model. And if I choose a caring model, I'm going to make sure that you're wowed, that you have the greatest sales experience, that you walk away from this saying, that was an extraordinary investment of my time and energy, and I can't imagine working with anyone else. And that's the difference. If you don't have wow, and I'm going to use your word, I'll take wow because it's a perfect word. If I don't have wow, then you're transactional, you're a commodity. I can use anybody to do what you do. And if somebody gives me a better price, I'm going to move because there's no reason to have a relationship with somebody who isn't going to wow me.
Beautiful. So I just hope everybody heard that. I mean, you've heard that because I've asked that question to a number of people that I've interviewed on this call. But I think we heard it in a really unique and a really valuable way. And I hope everybody on this call just ask yourself, are you executing? I mean, we all believe in the caring model. I mean, every single person on this phone, I think, believes that. And I think you care. But are you executing around that vision each and every time you meet a client, each and every time you meet a realtor? And the key to success is rates spike up as this market changes. I don't care where you're at. If you're incredibly successful, you're not maximizing your success if you're not doing this with each and every client. And if you are struggling right now, this is the way forward. So, Anthony, another question I want to ask, and then we're going to pass the baton, and I know you've got some slides that we're going to talk around and have a conversation around. So I'm a big believer in this concept of art and science. And some people, I think, are more scientists, so they resonate logically. We know who the scientist is. And then there's the art, I think it used to be said that there's these just naturally gifted salespeople that were just talkers. Everybody liked them. Everybody trusted them. That's the art of selling. And I'm just a big believer, and I've had I've asked this question to a lot of professionals, and what I've come to find, and I want to hear your side of this, is that the most successful salespeople, they're not necessarily scientists, they're not necessarily artists. Like personally, my nature is I'm an artist. And the reason I just have a really healthy respect for science and selling, and through balance, I achieve my maximum success. I've met some really good scientists, and if they're just a pure scientist, they're not that successful. If they really get good at the art of connecting with people, they become successful. So a couple questions, because one, I want to get to know you better. What are you more from a natural perspective? Are you more the natural scientist who's become a great artist, or vice versa? What are you personally?
Artist, no question about it. It's not that I ignore science because, I mean, in life I'm a scientist, but I think that what I do as a business person is a creative endeavor built on, the greatest human attribute of all, resourcefulness, imagination, creativity, caring, the human part. And I think, I'll say this to your group, when sexting replaces actual sex, and we'll honor Anthony Iannarino here, then I'll believe that we need to be more behind the screen, more transactional. But we're human, and selling is a human endeavor. It's built on trust. It's built on relationships. It's built on caring. It's the images that you showed. I can have a legal pad, or I can have a tool like Mortgage Coach, and I get to make a decision as to how I come at that. Am I coming at it as somebody who's got an intention of creating an experience and something wonderful, or am I just going to wing it because I think I can and I can show them some math on a sketch pad?
Yeah, and again, everybody, the takeaway is to become your best, you got to bring both. And so the art is important. And when you think of a Mortgage Coach Edge experience, whether it's on a mobile, and let's just use the mobile device because that is the richest experience. It's where the customer wants it. If it's a home buyer, they have access to it while they're out looking at homes. They have access to it when they're sitting at the desk with a realtor and it's deal time. So the fact that it's mobile and it's everywhere is amazing. But here's where the blend of art and science is for you folks. You just got to use it. Is the art is the video. It's you. It's you showing them that I care for you. I put this together for you in the graphs and charts. That's the science. So at Mortgage Coach, again, we built our business around these concepts, wowing, around mastering the art and science. So 2 more questions, and then I'm going to hand off the baton to you, Anthony. We're going to walk through your ideas. So one, when you think of your best clients, and I always like to ask this question because you're in a different space, but what are some just tactical examples of how your clients, and you might want to use your own organization, that you are wowing? You've built wow into your sales process. Just give us a couple examples so we can learn from you.
Yeah, and I think that the way that I see my clients creating wow experiences, and I'll use a couple of them I guess we can talk about in real life. One's in supply chain management. So they're in a relatively boring, uninteresting business, and they're in a commoditized industry that's under some pricing pressure like everybody is. And this particular client comes up with the next idea and the next idea and the next idea. And to some people, this would look like upselling. But it's not upselling from their view. What they do is they find a way into a client so that they can create some value. And then they immediately show the massive amount of value that they can create by educating the entire workforce of their client. Now, it's not their job to educate the workforce onto how to produce better results, but because they believe it's their job and because they believe that their role is to create as much value as possible, they come in and teach and train the executives and the management team onto how to better run their supply chain organization, and everybody makes more money. And what it does is it drives a wedge between them and any of their competitors. So it's a serious B2B play that they're running, but it makes them what I call a level 4 value creator. They're proactive. They're delivering a level of value that no one else is willing or able to deliver. I would say able, but mostly not willing. I'll give you another example of one of my major clients from my coaching and consulting business is a company called Travel Counselors out of England. They're the largest travel agency in the UK, 1,000 agents around the world, 7 countries, and they're in an industry that has been completely disintermediated by the internet. You can go to Expedia, you can go to Priceline, you can find a price, you can book your own trip, you can build your own package, all these things are possible. They've got a model that's built on caring, and WOW means that they not only put your program together for you, they check you in. They make sure that your seats are next to each other on the airplane. They call the hotel ahead of time. If it's a special occasion, there's champagne, there's strawberries. If your luggage is lost, they'll find your luggage for you. They've got stories of legends there within their own business of travel counselors actually getting in the car and driving somebody across Europe because they missed a flight and there wasn't any way that they were going to make their kids' ball game. They're what they call football. We call it soccer. And there's these stories that they go so far beyond what is expected that they really create a wow experience. Personally, they're now my travel agency of choice, and I've had 2 flights I've gotten bumped from, and within a half hour of being bumped, I'm sitting in a better seat than I had originally because their relationships are such with the industry. But they go so far above and beyond that, again, they drive a wedge between them and their competitors. And if you really want high touch, if you want something that's exceptional and extraordinary, that's where you go. Even in an industry where that can be done, you can do most of that on your own, or at least the biggest part of it is transactional. Just a quick idea about what the results look like, and I don't think they'll mind me sharing this. They're growing at double digits, and their largest competitor in that market just shut down 250 offices and laid off 2,000 people. And I don't think it's that travel's down. I think it's that the not caring business model is down. And if you can not care, then I can do my business on the internet as a transaction, and I don't need a relationship anymore. But if you care deeply, then you can really differentiate and distinguish yourself, define yourself even in an industry, and it makes you worth paying money for.
Just powerful stories, powerful advice. I hope everybody heard that, and more importantly, I hope you just put down some action items, because I know, and for myself, I just took a note. There's some things we can do better. We can always do better to execute on that vision. So great answer. Thank you for sharing. So as we bring you into the conversation and share your desktop, really let's start it with beliefs, because at the end of the day, your belief systems, they really power your actions, and your actions power your success. So what are the negative beliefs from your perspective salespeople hold that really challenge their success? They hold them back from achieving. And I want to just put one more round of framing around this before you answer it, Anthony. So many people on the call, and let's answer this question to the folks that are not the top 30%. So there's a group on the call, let's just say they're closing more than 8 loans a month, every single month. And there's a group on the call that they're not achieving their goals every month. And so let's answer this question with that audience in mind. And Jacob, if you could also hand off the desktop to Anthony so we can have the conversation around his slides.
Okay, changing presenter right now.
So, thanks. And I'm going to show my screen too, so you should have that up. So these negative beliefs, so let me share just a couple with you. First, too many salespeople and too many sales organizations believe that leads are supposed to come to them. And we work in a business, particularly this business of mortgages, this is a referral business. So this is about relationships, but still we're passive and we wait. So if you have any kind of a hint or a shred of a belief that business is supposed to walk in the door to you, it's a negative belief and it's going to damage your business. We believe that we're supposed to be transactional. We're supposed to be as efficient as humanly possible with human beings because they don't care about us and we're not supposed to care about them. And this is what examples like Walmart. You're not supposed to be high touch. You're supposed to be a warehouse where I can walk in and get the lowest possible price. If you believe that, then you have a negative belief because most of the people that will buy from you, and this is B2B or B2C, want you to care about them and they're willing to pay for a better experience. And then this will bring me to the last one of these beliefs I'll share, and that's you believe that price is everything or that price is the most important buying criteria that your customer has, because it's not. It's only price, that's only the most important value if you let it be. You happen to take a screenshot from my blog, and I think that's yesterday's post that's up, but price is just an expression of value. It's not value. It's part of the equation, and if you don't create a lot of value, then absolutely people are right to go to price. But if you create a lot of value, value starts to outweigh price and it shifts tremendously in your favor. So that'll lead us to what I call level 4 value creation. And I'm going to just set this up. I gave you a little bit about the history, so I deleted a few slides. Commoditization, disintermediation, no differentiation, lots of price pressure, supposed to be transactional. All those things are going on and they're very, very real in this market right now. But there's another side to it. There's a side where you can capture more of your client's mind share. You can capture more of their wallet share. You can grow your business and acquire new clients. And you can actually increase your profit margins right now. You can actually make more money and charge more than you think you can if you create a higher level of value. And that's what this whole thing is about level 4 value creation. There's a great little book called The Discipline of Market Leaders. And it explains that there are really only 3 business models or business strategies that you can choose. You can choose a value prop that's best total cost, and we call that operational excellence. You have to be the cheapest because that's what you're selling. I'm always going to win on price. And if that's your model, great. That's how you should win. You should always be the lowest price. For most of us, though, that's not our business model. And as soon as we step onto that slippery slope, we find out that we're not generating the profit that we need to run our business. And then our competitor, who really is the low-cost provider, lowers their price, and we end up chasing the bottom, and they beat us. The second one is product leadership. We just saw the results of that. The product leader is Apple. At Apple, you have to cannibalize your success. And Steve Jobs, when he came out with the iPhone, immediately the analyst came to him and said, you just killed the iPod. You cannibalized your own success. And he said, if I didn't, somebody else was going to. But that's what it looks like when you're the product leader. You've got to come out with the next product, and you have to cannibalize what you've already done. That doesn't fit most of what you're doing because you're in a B2B and a B2C play without a real product in the way of a tangible device. So it leaves you with customer intimacy, and this is where most of us play. It's about having the best total solution It's about having a client acquisition and development model. So this means you're developing relations with the financial institutions that are going to help your customers. It means you're going to have relationships with the realtors who are going to prefer you or prefer somebody else. It means you're going to have the ability to develop solutions. And the way that you really operate this is you have extraordinarily high product expertise, and you have the ability to deliver that to different sets of customers. It's about customizing the experience, and so it exactly fits what that client needs. And that's a lot of what you're getting through Mortgage Coach. You're getting the way to say, I can customize this in real time. I can help modify this. And what you do is you change the paradigm. And that's really what you're called to do. So let me set up Level 4 value creation so that you understand what that is. Level 1 value means you have a good product or a good service. And if I can't see you, I know there's hundreds of you on this call, but if I were to ask you to raise your hand if you had a good product or a good service, all of you would raise your hand because you do. But then I would ask you, how different are you?
So that way, by the way, everybody can raise your hand, so everybody knows how to do a hand raise. If you really believe with tremendous passion that your product, you got it nailed, raise your hand. I just want to get a feel for one who's paying attention. So good. We got a lot of hand raisers, a lot of confidence, a lot of folks that believe they've got a great platform, and they're obviously participating in the call. I just want to get a little wake up there. Go ahead, Anthony.
I can't see the hands raised on mine as a panelist, but I'm going to assume that that was a lot of hands, and it should be. The problem that you have, though, is that it's not enough to differentiate you. A lot of people have a good product, and let's go back to Apple. Apple's got, in my opinion, the best cellular phone on the market. But a lot of people would say, no, Samsung's S4 is as good or better. And they're not too different. So when you just have a good product, you don't generate a tremendous amount of loyalty, and you can become commoditized, and you can end up fighting over this feature, that feature, or price. And it's a difficult space to occupy. So what do you have to do? You have to move up a level from there. Level 2 is an outstanding experience. That means you've got incredible service and incredible support. And again, if I were to ask you to raise your hands, and Dave can do that, we'll ask you to raise your hands. If you have great service, great support, you're all going to raise your hands and say, yeah, we're great at this. When it's B2B, though, that's not enough. It's not proactive in actually helping solve business problems. It's not generating a big enough outcome for B2B. It's okay for B2C. If you're Disney, maybe you play here and you have a great experience. My favorite example here is Starbucks. Starbucks pretends like they're giving me a great experience, and they're pretending like we have a relationship. They write my name on the cup. If I change my order, people have a problem, and they say, wait a second, that's not what you normally get. They want to know me, but as soon as the line gets long, they go right back into transactional. They don't care anymore. They throw the coffee out the window at me, and we're on our way. So you can get stuck in experience too. For all of you on this call, you have to at least minimum get to level 3. And this means you have a great product. You have a great experience. You're going to give people good service, good support. But you also help them get business outcomes. You give them tangible results. And the problem with staking out this section right now is that there are a lot of good organizations out there that can create that same level of value. There's a lot of people that know how to do an ROI calculation and can show your clients, your customers, that they can create the same business outcomes you can. So what do? You're stuck. If you can't get past 1, if you can't get past 2, if you can't get to 3, then there's no way you can make it to 4. And the people that are making it to level 4 right now are the winners. And we can talk about this as level 4 value creation, or you can call it WOW using Dave's framework and his language if you want. So you've still got a good product, you've got a good experience, you've got business outcomes, but you're a partner. You're looking at your client's strategic outcomes. So when it's a bank, when it's a realtor, you're trying to find out, how do I help them help their customers? How do I become part of their value chain? You help them envision and create the future. You're bringing them new ideas. You're sharing with them new insights. You're sharing with them information that you have that will help them do better in their business. You become integrated. You work so closely with them that you actually attend sales calls with them. They attend sales calls with you. You start to develop this integration where it's tough to tell where your value disappears and where theirs begins, and vice versa. I'll give you one quick example of this. I still own staffing companies, and I have clients where we're so closely aligned that we attend sales calls with their sales team because we're part of the value chain in the way that we deliver. To do this, though, you have to be 100% proactive. You cannot be reactive. Reactive is level 2. It means you call, you'd say jump, I say how high. But that's not what's going to differentiate you and define you anymore. If you want to play it at the right level, you've got to be proactive, which means I'm thinking about you when you're not thinking about me. I'm bringing you the next idea. So what's the only negative with level 4 value creation? It's really difficult to create and really difficult to maintain. And this is why the top 20% of salespeople are the top 20% and the rest aren't. It's because they will take these actions. Dave and I were looking at his product, and he mentioned some people know how to use the product, but they don't use it. And we talked about beliefs, and even on the setup email for this, you know, I'm into talking about beliefs, and because what you believe drives your action, and the actions you take drives your results. If you believe that you can skip using a product that's going to help differentiate and define you, then you're playing at level 1. You're saying, I believe I'm okay playing transactional. And you're free to believe whatever you want, but you're not free from the consequences of those beliefs. So you have to believe something better. And what I'd like to convince you of during the rest of our time together is that you have to believe that you have to get to level 4. And the more action that you take that gets you to level 4, the greater your results. I'm going to pause and let Dave come back in. Dave?
First of all, that was powerful. I'm going to replay that part of the call because the concept of you're not free from the consequences of your belief, that's strong. And folks, the reality is when you get a chance to have a meeting with a realtor and you don't blow their mind with value, with insight, if it's not unique, let's face it, in today's market, all the mortgage professionals, they're pretty good. I mean, there really are a lot of great mortgage professionals, a lot of great mortgage companies. They can close times on time, under budget, deliver a great sales experience. That is not a differentiator. It's table stakes. So one of the reasons why I am so evangelizing mobile and being a mobile leader to realtors, because I'm just a big believer in one of the paths to get to that level 4 is to teach them something new. Not everybody is blowing minds with video. That's valuable. That's unique. If you can teach a realtor how to create more urgency for a home buyer, how to deliver more value to a move-up buyer, and you're doing it with mobile, you're doing it with video, and you're doing it with the art and science of selling, to me that is a good way to become that level 4 partner. So I would just challenge everybody to, you know, if you are closing 8 or more loans, you can be closing more. If you're not executing consistently. For those of you that are on this call that you're executing around our vision, around our tools, and you're doing it with every single client, I mean, kudos to you. My only challenge to you is go be a leader to someone else in your organization. There's nothing better to take your business to the next level than teaching. So become a mentor to someone else on your team and get them to the next level. And if you're not where you want to be, just listen to the past 3 minutes of this conversation a few times because that's where it's at. So Anthony, I'm loving it. You're an awesome host. You're an awesome guest. Continue with your thoughts.
I'm going to zip through a few things so we can save some time for questions, but I'll just share with you what the 7 components of this are. Some of this blends very nicely with what you said, Dave. So the first thing I think is there's this model, caring and not caring. It's transactional, or it's what I call super relational. Super relational means it's value-based. So that means I have a relationship with a client, but it's not that we play golf together. It's not that our kids play soccer together. That's the old school relation, and those are still important. It's great to know your customer and know the personal things, and that intimacy really counts. But it has to be value-based. So your relationship has to be, this is somebody who I can think of as bringing value to my value chain. They're going to help me with my customers. They're going to help me with my business. It also has to be caring-based. And this is sort of a binary test here. This is 1 or 0, yes or no. You care or you don't care. You make the call back, you send the thank you card, you do these things because you care or you prove that you don't care. And caring matters very much in human relationships. It always will. We've been human for a long time, and all the technology and all the things that are making it look like transactions matter don't really matter. Trust matters. Caring matters. These are the reasons that we buy, because we look at somebody and think, they've got my best interest at heart. They're not self-oriented. You have to be proactive. If you're waiting for your client to tell you that they need something, you're already too late. You have to think about what they need before they do. You've got to take action before they do. You've got to make the call. You've got to do these things before they ever pick up the phone and call you. And you've got to be accountable for results. They're not going to buy from people who don't own what they sold. If you sell them something, you own it. You've got to take it from end to end and make sure that you get them that outcome. That's what it takes to be super relational. And then let's talk about being their competitive advantage, because you know, I've got a guy who does things for me. Like, he's my guy. And if I need something, people say, hey, I'd like to sell you this thing. And I go, you know what, I got a guy. I don't need you because he's super relational. But he's also got more than that. It's insight-based. So this is what Dave was talking about, teaching. You've got some insight. You've got business knowledge. You've got situational knowledge or experience. So you know how to help them with their business. And you've got to have those insights. And so many people think, I can know a little bit about business. I just need to understand how my product or service works. But it doesn't. You've got to study the industry. You've got to look at what's going on. For you guys, that means you've got to know rates. You've got to know what's going on in your market. You've got to know what's going on in the national market. You've got to understand what's going on in the financial sector so that you can be a resource. And you have to be future-oriented. It's fine that you can help now. What's coming next? And I call this seeing around corners. You've got to help your client look around corners. They need to say, I won't do anything without talking to Dave first because I know Dave knows what's coming next. And if they're not thinking about you that way, you're not playing at 4. And it has to be strategic. How does it help them make more money? How does it help them keep their customers? How does it help them grow their business? How does it help them be more profitable? And these are the most strategic outcomes that make you a competitive advantage. So these are the 7 components. This is what leads you to level 4 value creation. And right now we could quickly check off a list to say, how do you create value? Are you using the tools that you have? Are you using the insight that you have? How are you caring? What do you do so that your client knows that you care? What do you not do that if you did it, your client would know that you cared? Are you proactive, or do you wait for them to call and suggest something to you? And we could run down this checklist, but this is essentially what you have to do. And more than that, it's not so much what you do, it's who you have to be. You have to put on the mantle, I'm a level 4 value creator, and say, this is where I play because it's who I am, it's what I do. And that's the difference between making your number or reaching your goals and not making it. Is that enough, Dave? We need more.
No, I think you nailed it. Let's continue to roll. We've got about 12 more minutes in the call, so let's
you want to do questions, or you want me to give them just a tiny bit more content?
Well, first of all, if I will say, let's raise your hand if you have a question you want to reach out to. So I'll keep an eye out for any questions that come into the conversation. But actually, we just got a number of hands that raised, so let's go ahead and do a few questions. Michael, you've been unmuted. Did you have a question or a comment? Michael. All right, I'm going to remute you, Michael. I'm going to lower your hand. James Barnes, you've been unmuted. James, did you have a question or a comment?
Hi, enjoyed your comments here. One of the problems I have in being successful is with the new guidelines that we have and all the new regulations that we have. We're constantly having to change the circumstances and notices of incompleteness and all this busy work constantly that drives me nuts. And once you get to about 8 or 10 loans, it's almost impossible to continue and do more than that because you're so busy having to go back and do all these extra things that they require you to do when you need to change the circumstance or whatever. How many assistants do you have, and do you have how do you deal with those things where it kind of gets to the point where you can't give the value that you'd like because you're too busy doing busy work?
It's a great question. I think at some point you have to decide whether you can afford and whether you need help. And if you can close 8 and it means having help, you can close 16, you can probably afford the help. But I will tell you there are some things, I don't believe in time management because so far I've found no way to slow down the hands on a clock in any way, shape, or form. They continue to tick away relentlessly whether or not I want them to. But I have found something that I think is better, and I call it me management. I do have 100% control over where I put my time and my focus. And I get up at really, really early in the morning. And this is not popular advice, by the way, I know that. But I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I work from 5 to 7 before I ever go to work in any of my businesses. And that 2 hours gives me time to do all of the proactive all of the marketing, all of the things that I need to do to be a level 4 value creator, so that I have essentially 10 hours more than most people have in their week. And to do that, I've eliminated television for the most part. I watch 1 hour a week. And I would tell you, you have a choice to make. You can decide where to do that. And I don't know your business, so I apologize. I can't give you more direct thoughts or ideas on this. But if I knew your business, I might say, can I push paperwork off till I can bundle it at one time and say, I'm going to do that from 6 to 7 because it's out of the way, and then I can spend my day being a value creator? Or can I push it until, Saturday and spend 4 hours on Saturday doing it so that the rest of my week is productive? And if not, and if it does make sense for you, it's great to have people who can do what I call non-value creating work. Some of the work that you described to me I would call non-value creating. So you're a value creator, and you being face-to-face with a client, you being face-to-face with a customer, you working with them to get them this outcome that they can't get without you makes you an L4 VC. But you sending out a notice or dealing with paperwork, that's transactional business, and I wonder if there's not a way to push some of that off to a time where you can just do that work or give it to somebody who can do it for you because you're really not the primary value creator.
So first of all, great perspectives, advice, Anthony. Michael, couple calls where we really focused on team. One was where I actually interviewed Jeremy Forcier and his team. So a loan officer that consistently closes over 20 units a month with a high in the 40, and we interviewed him and his team together. And if you didn't hear that call, I think everybody who wants to build a team or has a team should listen to it. Jacob, if I don't know if we have put that on YouTube. If we can, let's put it on YouTube. But at a minimum, let's put a link to it on the Facebook post for today's call. So anybody have a breadcrumb to more specific content. Also, the Tim Brahim call, the one that focused on team, was really, really good, Michael. So I'm not going to answer that in more detail other than to give you some places that you can get more advice on that. And I do talk about how to go from an individual producer to building a team to, hey, really having a mega team of 3 or more assistants that helps you scale your business. So good question. If anybody else has a question, I'll keep an eye out for it. We've got about 7 more minutes. Let's do like about 3 more minutes of content, and then let me kind of go up into wrap-up mode, Anthony. So go ahead with another thought.
I captured your slide while you were presenting it, and it's interesting because what's happened in the world of sales for all of us is we've got that selling piece, and it's really small there in this particular framework that you're looking at. And marketing comes first. And what's happened is salespeople now have to be marketers. And so when you look at that block that says first impression, and you look at that email because you're going to send something out to a customer, whether that be a B2B customer or a B2C, and you look at that website, and we started the call actually with my website, and we talked about your digital footprint. And I would call it your surrogate salesperson, because I have a salesperson selling for me when I'm asleep, because there are people all around the world on my website watching my videos, and that's my surrogate salesperson doing all that work for me. But I would tell you that level 4 value creation idea should go all the way through the front of this to the back of this process. It should start with that first impression that says, I'm somebody that you can trust to understand and get you the outcomes that you need. That email needs to say, I'm the kind of proactive person that's going to provide you with insights and ideas and help you understand how to come to the best buying decisions that you can come to. That website needs to be a demonstration of how you create value. For me, as somebody who speaks and coaches sales organizations, when you come to my website, it's very clear what I do, and that I've got now almost 4 years of writing where I've shared value every single day. So people say, this guy's a value creator. He's got the ideas. Then when you get to selling, all the rest of this is easy. So the level 4 value creation starts at one end of this, and it ends all the way down there at servicing and loyalty. That value needs to go straight through the whole process, and you want to be the person that when somebody makes the next decision to move, to go into a bigger home or to downsize, whatever the case may be when they find you, you want to give them such an experience that they'll never think of calling anybody but you because you've generated so much value.
Beautiful. So I'm going to, again, we're going to have time to share a bit more content, but I do want to go into wrap-up mode. So I hope everybody paid close attention to the strategic partner, the level 4 mode that Anthony is so passionate about, and it's key to his selling framework. Again, I know every single person on this call, you have this goal, you have this belief. Not everybody on the call is executing around this every time you're connecting with it, whether it's a home buyer or whether it's a realtor and a referral partner. It's all about execution. So to thrive in today's market, folks, it's going to get even more unforgiving. I mean, rates are not, at least we cannot plan on them going down. You know, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't have a crystal ball. Listen to Dan Robich's morning video for near-term perspective on rates. But this is what you need to execute around. This is where it's at. So I want to urge everybody to continue the conversation with Anthony. I'm going to give you a link to his blog on our Facebook page. You know, it's thesalesblog.com, and it's /newsletter. I'm going to remind you of that link towards the end of the call. But I urge you to start reading his content and start taking action on it. It's some of the best I read. It's one of my favorite. I want to ask everybody, when you think of the conversations that you're having with realtors, let's just say realtors, I'm not going to go with the home buyer. Are you teaching anyone anything? Are you actually the one that's bringing them a new idea and you're teaching them? Because that is where it's at. That is where you separate yourself. When you are teaching, and again, that's the cornerstone to wow. You can't wow without teaching someone something. Are you controlling the conversation? Because that's another thing that you need to do in today's market. Is there's a lot of loan officers calling every realtor on the planet, and I'm not talking about in a dysfunctional way or in a manipulative way. I'm talking in a teacher way. Are you controlling the conversation and delivering value and challenging some of their beliefs? You know, let's face it, I believe at Mortgage Coach, there's no one that knows how to deliver an amazing mortgage experience better than we do. And you as our members, there's no one can do it better than you if you're executing. So are you being a leader to realtors and home buyers? I mean, I think today's call gave you a lot of ammunition, a lot of concepts that will help you do that better. So by this point, hopefully everybody has downloaded our app. You've gone to either the App Store, the Android Store, you put in Mortgage Coach, and you're becoming great, because this is a quick, simple, and easy way to teach them something. And guys, this is video on mobile. This is some of the coolest stuff on the market today when it comes to the science of selling. Make sure that you're driving these conversations in real estate meetings. Make sure that this is one of the best ways to deliver on what Anthony's talking about, delivering obvious value. So I want to remind everybody that, you know, we make it easy. We have another tactical call every Tuesday. Your homework assignment today, I have Jacob do this. I'm going to have him start doing it every week. But I want you to go to our website, put in 80-10-10. So just click on the support page, put in 80-10-10, watch a video, and create a scenario. So homework assignment is create an Edge TCA with an 80-10-10 so that you can be a product expert, because if you want to be a strategist, you need to be able to do that. And then at our Thursday call with Jacob, don't miss that. If you looked at the email from today, anybody that's new to our community, the email that went out promoting this call with Anthony, at the bottom of that is a link to sign up for our Thursday call. This call is all about high-level strategy, ideas, things to implement. Thursday is all about doing it. It's implementing it and executing it. So we're there to help you and support you from a tactical perspective. So Anthony, you will get the final word today. I want to thank you for the time you took to be on this call. You've been just an awesome host or guest. I hope to have you again on a call. I hope that our community of professionals connects with you on your blog. Any parting words of wisdom as we wrap up today's call?
No, just thank you so much for having me here, and I think that what you're doing will create tremendous value, and that the people that show up for this kind of thing, in my experience, are the people that go out and execute, and they do change their beliefs, and they do get new actions, and they do get greater results. So great job there.
Yeah, well, great job, everybody. Let us know what you thought of today's call. Please go and answer our exit poll. And Anthony, I look forward to our future conversations. Let's chat. If you'd like to do more things like this, let's talk about that. But I really appreciate the time you took today. I look forward to future conversations with you, my friend.
All right, thanks, Dave. Talk to you soon.
Take care, everybody.